ZZ Top, heard it on the X right here on KRIM 96.3 FM, and we're going to be doing our community spotlight this morning. Hey, it's a little late, but that's okay. It's Monday, and you know how Mondays are sometimes. But still wanted to talk with Daniel Newberry, the youth pastor at Mountain Bible Church, about the weekend, a youth camp that's happening right here in Payson. Coming up, and when is it, Daniel?
It's on March 15th through the 17th.
Hey, well, thank you so much for coming on this morning and talking about this event.
Thanks for having me. I'm just really excited to be here.
Oh, hey, no, yeah, you are so welcome. This is the second year that you and a group of youth pastors,
Yes,
which is great to see,
yeah,
are holding this camp,
yeah,
right here in Payson.
yeah. This is year two. Last year was definitely the first time I think anything similar to this has been done here in Payson, and it was born out of a desire just to get together with just two churches coming together. And it was originally Mick Allred over at Rimview Community Church. He approached me last year and said, "Hey, I would love to do just a little weekend disciple now kind of concept with you." Mm-hmm. And as we got to talking, we said, let's invite all the other youth groups in town. Mm-hmm. And really the conversation became this idea of how many kids have wanted to go to a summer camp or a winter camp, but the cost was just outrageous and they couldn't afford it. Or maybe they were just really intimidated by the fact that they'd never been to a camp before and they didn't know if they'd be accepted or what that would be like. And so we got to talking, what if we could turn this into an event that would create a camp-like environment that was a fraction of the cost of typical camps, but also gave kids an opportunity to experience camp in a way that's not very intimidating. Or honestly just difficult for them to be there, and it's here in Payson, and so they feel more at home. Mm-hmm. And there's no leaving town, being super far away from your parents. If anything happens, your parents are literally 5-minute drive away. Yeah. And that's where it kind of took off, and we got all the other youth groups in town involved last year, and this year we're continuing with several youth groups, and we're pretty excited about it.
Mm-hmm. I love how you work this out, because if you can explain like where all the kids stay. Yeah. Because I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah, well, so, you go to camp, usually you'll stay in a cabin or something like that, but we obviously don't have cabins. And we said, well, what do we have? We have our church buildings. There's these buildings that aren't used except for a couple days a week usually. And so how can we put these to use for this camp? And so for Mountain Bible Church, we have kids stay at the church, and I just split them up based on different rooms, different buildings. Keep the girls in the main sanctuary, the boys in the activity center, split them up by age so they're all in different areas, and that also allows us to be able to have smaller conversations about the sessions and everything that's been taught. Some churches actually do host homes where they ask parents in the home, say, hey, you've proven yourself to be a trustworthy person in our church, and you've clearly shown a desire to invest in the kids. Would you be willing to host maybe 8 kids at your home during this weekend event? And then they just get volunteers to drive the kids back and forth from the church.
Well, what's really cool about that is, like you said, you have kids that have not been to a camp before. They're a little hesitant, intimidated, scared about going off, to a different place, maybe out of state. And this is a great way for them to see what youth camp is about.
Yes.
To just get a little familiar with it, go with friends. Yes. And be with their youth pastor and youth leaders that they're familiar with. Yes. Here at home. Yes. Instead of venturing out. So I think that's great. But then I also see where kids that have gone to youth camp, that have gone to the different camps, and they go each year, would enjoy this as well, because it's different, a different feel.
Right. They know what to expect because they've been to a camp before. But then everything that they get at camp, it becomes a lot more personal because it's happening here in your hometown. A lot of times we go to camp and there's major life change that happens, and we come closer to God. But then when we come home, we feel like we've entered back into the real world, and we don't know how to bring that camp feel, that camp vibe, or whatever the word is, back into this environment. With the weekend, it never leaves this environment, right? It all happens here at home, and so you get to see life change right where you live, which is fairly exciting. And another cool part about doing it here in our own backyard is that we get to use our own resources. So we actually have, the worship is led by students every year at the weekend. And so we have a high school worship team that leads the worship, and they do an incredible job. And I think it's cool for kids to see their peers up there, being a part of it, not just coming to the camp, but helping run the camp and actually have an active voice in it.
Again, if you're just tuning in or if you're watching on our KRIM radio Facebook Live, talking with Daniel Newberry, the youth pastor at Mountain Bible Church here in Payson, and he's sharing with everyone the weekend, the youth camp event here in Payson. And how do kids get signed up for this, Daniel?
That's a good question. You can sign up through your own youth group. Most youth groups in town are involved in it. Or you can go to mountainbible.org and just go to the youth ministry page. There's a sign up link on there. Or you can just call Mountain Bible Church. The phone number is online, easy to find, and just give them a call and they'll help you get signed up as well. Okay,
and like you said earlier, this also, because there isn't all the travel involved, we're not, you're not going to a camp, somewhere that has all of their costs that they have to cover. Right. So the cost for this camp is much lower.
Much lower. It's only $50. And most churches are willing to help you figure out the cost if even $50 is too much. We've had a few kids who have said that's just still not doable for me. And we've worked it out. We've figured out what they can pay and we just cover the rest. And so really there's no reason anyone should miss this camp other than just being out of town. That if money's an issue, we can work around that, right? And we've tried to keep it as low cost, and that $50 covers not only you being present, it covers all your meals. We provide all the meals the entire time you're there, and it also covers a camp t-shirt and any other activities. We do a special activity on Saturday. We rent out the movie theater, and all the kids go, they get popcorn, drinks, and we get to watch a movie together.
Oh, that's cool.
Kind of speaks to the whole theme and everything.
Well, that's very cool. And something that I really love seeing is it's great to see the churches and the youth groups coming together to do the event.
Yeah, that's something we've been working on for a while. I've been here in Payson for 3 years, serving as a youth pastor, and I was really excited when I got here to see the desire and the interest among all the churches, among the youth pastors in town, to want to work together. I think that when I got here, my understanding or my concern would have been that there would have been competition between the churches in a town as small as Payson, as many churches as there are in this town. Would have thought there would have been a lot of competition, but that's not what I've seen. What I've actually seen is youth pastors working together and saying, you know what, we are one church, right? We're all one capital C church, united through Christ, and so why can't we just work together to reach as many students with the gospel of Jesus Christ as possible? And that's been encouraging, and it's made my job a lot easier because I've got that support group of youth pastors, and that's what we want kids to see. We want them to see that churches can work together because there is hope in unity. When we are divided and incapable of getting along, there's very little hope there. But what Jesus did was Jesus brought Jews and Gentiles together. He reconciled sinners with God the Father. Jesus was all about unity. And so when we have all these churches coming together for one camp event that we are putting on for the kids to address topics that would be important to them, our hope and desire is that kids can see the hope that Jesus brings by unifying people.
I would imagine even in a small town, you get kids that maybe are in the same grade or separated, by a grade or two, that see each other at school, maybe see each other around town, but there isn't much of a relationship, and they're at different churches. So this is a great opportunity for youth, local youth, to get to know each other a little bit better in this setting.
It is, and actually that's part of the reason we went with the theme that we have this year, which is disconnected. So in the past, last year we chose a theme that we thought spoke to students. We talked about anxiety, depression, even suicide. And now this year we wanted to choose another theme that we think speaks directly to students, and that is these connections that we have through the internet, these connections that we have over our phones, being constantly connected to one another, and yet not knowing each other very well, constantly being disconnected when we actually see each other face to face. So we're talking about being disconnected from each other despite the fact that we live in an overly connected world, and even being disconnected from God despite the fact that we live in an overly connected world. So our desire is not only to bring people together, but also to address, hey, what are the things that are keeping us apart? We see each other in school. There's only one high school here, right? There's only one junior high school, and then the Christian school. So what is keeping us apart, despite the fact that we all live in the same place and we do the same things? Why can't we connect with each other? And what's keeping us from being connected to God as well?
Oh, yes, and social media. Wow.
Yeah.
Such a big part of people in general, not just youth, but adults as well.
Yes.
Not connecting with each other. And it is a case where you actually can become further apart through social media as well, because things are said, comments are made, and it's never actually done face to face, but on social media, and then it creates that separation between individuals.
Yes, and I don't want to get too preachy on here, but I mean, this is what idols have always done. Idols have always separated people. Idols have always isolated us in our own sin and separated us from God. And honestly, I love phones and I love social media, but they are an idol. In 1 John, he starts his book, his letter, by saying, what was from the beginning, what we have seen with our eyes, what we have touched with our hands, what we have heard with our ears and observed. He's talking about Jesus. He's saying we've seen, we've observed, we've experienced him, and we want to share that with you. But you could say the same thing about any idol. You can say the same. We hold our phones, we see our phones, we hear our phones, we observe our phones. These idols constantly want to replace the connections that we can have with Christ, the connection that we can have with God. And when we're connected with him, he brings us into community with other people. When we're connected with idols, such as our phones, we are isolated from people. They give the deception of connection, but it's not true connection at the end of the day.
And with phones, goodness, they're with us all the time.
They are.
They're with us all the time, right there in our pockets, and we can be looking on them. So
we have constant access to death on our phones at all times.
So this is great. Again, the weekend, an event taking place right here in Payson. And to get signed up for it, if you're listening, you have a youth that are part of a youth group here in town, have them talk to their youth pastor, youth leaders. If you have children that aren't in a youth group in town, then you can go to the Mountain Bible website, or I'm sure they can reach out to you or any of the youth pastors in town.
Yeah, you can email me. My email is daniel@mountainbible.org. It's very simple. Daniel@mountainbible.org. You can email me with interest, and I'd be more than happy to talk about your student coming to the weekend.
All right. And is there a deadline for signups?
That's a good question. Yes, the last day we're accepting signups is this Sunday, March 10th. After that, we cannot accept any more signups for the weekend because we have to order all the supplies.
Gotcha. And I'm sure there's also probably limited space, or you can only handle so many youth as well. And again, great concept. The camp is right here in Payson. All of the kids stay here in Payson at their church or whoever they sign up with. If they have friends that are in a youth group and they want to go with those friends and get signed up at that church, then that's where they would be staying.
That's absolutely right.
For the weekend. And the topic again.
Disconnected. Connecting with God in an overly connected world.
That's I think, goodness, a great topic for everyone.
Yes.
Something that we all can look at.
Yes. Well, and hey, off the topic of the theme, another way to look at this, parents who are listening, is we're essentially offering you $50 to get rid of your kids for a weekend. That's a pretty sweet deal, if you ask me.
Oh, yeah, and they're right here in town. Again, great for younger students who have not been off to church camp.
Yes.
And they want to get that experience, try it out. Well, they can do it right here while staying in Payson.
Yes, easy to reach. They keep their phones on them. You can get my phone number, the youth pastor's phone number, so we can get in contact with us at any time. We try to make ourselves completely available.
All right. And what are the dates again, and when does it start and end?
Yes, so the whole thing starts on Friday, March 15th. The evening of the 15th, they'll sign in at Mountain Bible.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have our first session there. They'll go home to their home churches that night and stay the night. And then it goes through the 16th and 17th, and your kids will be ready for pickup after church on the 17th.
All right.
At their home church.
There we go, and get home probably and sleep.
And sleep. That's right. We plan on wearing them out.
There you go. So they have Sunday, the whole day to, or the afternoon to
Mhm.
recover.
Yes.
So they're ready for school that Monday.
Yes.
All right. Well, anything else you'd like to share or add, or anything that we might have missed?
And just that, again, the youth pastors in town, we're all open to discuss this more, or even just talk about your students being involved in youth group. I know that in Payson, we've met a lot of teenagers who are having a hard time finding a place to belong.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not into sports or something like that, there's really a lot of teenagers feel like there's nothing here for them. And that's so absurd, because there's so much here for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they just need a place to plug in and help find ways to belong and connect with each other. So, like I said, the youth pastors in town, our desire is just to help your kids along and help them grow, and we're concerned about their relationship with Christ, of course, but we're also concerned about education. We want the kids to pursue and do well in school, and also just do well with their friend groups and whatnot. So, like I said, if any parents out there who are listening who are trying to find ways to help their kids connect, every youth pastor in town is more than willing to help you in that journey and in that struggle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are so many great youth groups in town, great organizations.
Yes.
In the school as well. So many clubs, groups that kids can be a part of. I think it's that first step.
Yes.
Taking that first step, just stepping out.
Yeah.
And getting out of the house, or just getting out, among other youth, and just kind of opening yourself up.
Absolutely. That just connecting with others, being a part of a community, really helps us grow in our mental development, especially for teenagers.
Great. Hey, well, thank you so much, Daniel, for coming on this morning. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. Again, if you have any questions about the weekend, you can get in touch with Daniel Newberry at Mountain Bible Church. Online, go by the church.
Yes.
What is the address? It's on Rancho Road?
Yes, 302 East Rancho Road.
Okay. Also, youth pastors at most of the churches here in town will be participating. So if your your child has gone to a youth group, maybe they aren't currently going, or they just go every so often, reach out to your youth pastor at your church. Ask them about the weekend. Just a great event, and we really encourage all the youth in town to attend.
Yes, 100%.
And registration and sign-ups are due by this Sunday.
Due by this Sunday, March 10th. Yes.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you again, Daniel. Thank you, everyone listening, watching, and thank you to Desert Financial Credit Union for sponsoring our KRIM Community Spotlight program. Time to get back to the music, but first, let's get a quick update from the National Weather Service.